Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 21 Hats podcast. I'm your host, Loren Feldman. This week, Sean Bussey, Jennifer Karen, and Jackie Russo talk about how their businesses did this year and what they're planning for 2025. Jackie and Sean have been surprised by a surge of new clients in December, which they say never happens. And Jennifer is excited because she's confident that in the first quarter, she will finally exit the valley of death, that transitional period growing companies experience when the people and processes that made them successful stop working. Along the way, the owners discussed the relative merits of promoting from within versus hiring from without, how long it should take to onboard senior level hires, whether it's better to err on the side of budgeting for too little growth or too much, how they're training employees to use artificial intelligence, and what Jennifer can do to stop spending so much time writing and pricing proposals. Even in good times, owning and running a business can be a lonely pursuit. Our hope is that these weekly conversations will let owners know they are not alone in facing challenges. In fact, that's the whole idea behind the 21 Hats community, engaging with other owners to get the kinds of insights only another business owner can offer. If you're interested in learning more, step one is to sign up for the Morning Report newsletter, which highlights the most important news of the day for business owners so you don't have to go looking for it. Step two is to get on our Slack channel, where you can ask questions, get vendor recommendations, and tap the wisdom of a very impressive crowd. Just search for the 21 Hats Morning Report to sign up for a free trial. Joining me this week on the podcast are regulars Sean Bussey, CEO of Kinesis, which is based in Portland, Oregon, and works with small businesses on marketing, culture, and strategy. Jennifer Karen, CEO of SB Expos and Events, an events management business based near Baltimore. And Jackie Russo, CEO of Brand Russo, a marketing agency based in Lafayette, Louisiana. The episode is titled, I'm Out of the Valley of Death. Welcome, Sean, Jennifer, and Jackie. It's great to have you here. In the past few weeks, I've been asking everyone how their years have gone, whether they've hit their numbers, what they're thinking heading into next year. I've already gotten to you, Sean. You told us you weren't exactly thrilled with your year, but I have yet to hit Jennifer and Jackie. Jennifer, how about you? How's your year ending up?
We are off our budgeted revenue, but not bad. I had a really aggressive goal this year for revenue. It was 25% growth. So we hit 15%. I can't say it's bad from a revenue standpoint. I'm not happy we didn't meet the budget, but that's okay. I'm more upset about my profitability. And I know this is a standard part as you grow a company. You go through areas of, it's like feast or famine, where you grow a lot and then you got to sort of come back and make sure all your processes are fine. And so I've spent considerable amount of money on a higher level of management this year, and I know it will pay off, but it hit my profitability because of high compensation. So the hope is that next year we get the revenue to catch up with the expenses.
Did you hire more high-level people than you expected to at the beginning of the year?
The compensation was higher than I expected, yes. Salaries are increasing quite a bit in the last couple of years. And so what I wanted to have, I knew I needed for growth. It just cost me more than I had budgeted and expected.
I seem to recall you've been trying to sort of up-level the team, right? So
Right.
You're hiring more experienced people. It's less of that like young and eager, works really hard, but not very experienced. And so they're less expensive. Is that fair?
That's exactly right, Sean. And some of those I've identified that can get there under strong leadership and external training. And some, it's, I just need outside help. You want to give people a chance. How long do you give them a chance for? How much do you realize they need a chance if they have a strong leader under it? And how much you just don't have time all the time to coach those young, ambitious people. And so you need a leader to help coach them to get to their level. And that's expensive.
We've also talked a lot about your hopes of getting stuff off of your plate so you can stop working those 12-hour days and 6-day weeks that you told us about when you first joined the podcast. Did you make progress there this year as well?
Well, I got a lot of stuff off my plate, a lot, but then more stuff got back on it. It's like you can't get rid of this.
How'd that happen?
Oh my goodness. Well, when you're training leaders, that takes a long time that I had not expected. So you're getting external people at a higher level. They may know the skill set, but they need to understand your company. And I underestimated, I think, that's a question for all of us maybe, is how long does it take to get someone onboarded into your company at a leadership level? Is it 90 days? Is it 180 days? Is it really 9 months to a year? I'm spending a considerable amount of time coaching these leaders, training these leaders, having them understand expectations, that part. And then I have ramped up my marketing significantly, which is fantastic. It just means I'm doing a lot of proposals. And I think we talked about this on an earlier podcast Sean and I did, is that our proposals are really customized and they take a long time, which is great. I'm getting a lot of requests for proposals. I'm just spending a lot more time. That I did not expect to get off my plate. It's just a lot more work, which is great. I do need to figure out how to get that off my plate for next year.
So how has this experience left you thinking about your budgeting for next year? Are you going to set ambitious goals again?
Great question. I have my CFO and my number 2 and I are meeting for the third draft of our budget. It is not aggressive, but it also looks terrible from a profit standpoint. And so forecasting is really, really difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's really difficult. And if you under forecast, you possibly under resourced, so you got to hire people. But if you over forecast and you don't meet those expectations, then what? I don't think anybody has the right answer. So, Lauren, I am being very conservative this year. I think our goal is 15% growth. But I need that because I brought in all these staff. So if I meet it, fantastic. If I exceed it, even wonderful. If I don't meet it, I got problems.
I love that you think 15% is very conservative.
Oh, really?
It's crazy high.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, especially since like now you're a larger company. 15% on a $500,000 company, big deal. 15% on a $5 million, I don't know where you're at, but on a $5 million company is a big deal. Like that's tremendously disruptive. It's really difficult. Your profit's going to take a huge hit. Your cash flow is going to take a huge hit. I mean, I just kind of wonder if you're not using your prior experience to inform what your perception of is of the future.
Sean, that's a really good point. I had not thought of that at all, is that percentages should probably go down as the company gets bigger.
Totally.
I heard once that if inflation is, let's say, 5 to 7%, you got to take that off because it's just inflation. So 15% with 5% inflation is really only 10% growth. That assumes that your pricing is keeping up with it, which is somewhat difficult. But that's a really good point. I have to go back and think about that.
Well, and we're not in that type of an inflationary environment right now. So, I think I saw the other day it was like 2.7%, something like that. So that's the other thing that shifted too is, yeah, you're right. We were in a heavily inflationary environment. So your perception of what growth needed to be was probably informed by that as well. I'm kind of curious why, if you said you were slowing down growth, but then when you said 15%, I'm like, what? No wonder your profit sucks. I mean,
how many people do you have to hire to handle 15% growth, Jennifer?
Well, none. I've hired them. That's why my profitability is not great this year. I hired them now so I can absorb that kind of growth next year with no additional headcount, or maybe a part-time coordinator, right? But no significant headcount.
Well, that helps. Is your profitability not looking good and you're budgeting for next year for the same reason it disappointed you this year?
Yeah, I think the profitability took a hit this year because I hired higher level leaders. And from a compensation standpoint, next year I need that revenue to make, I hired them for growth. So it was done. It was just more than I thought it was going to be, but I need that growth to make sense. It's taking a lot longer than I expected to get people onboarded. It's not easy, I think, or maybe I just underestimated it. The learning curve of getting into a new company can be tremendous.
Well, the problem you're having is, sorry to sound like a know-it-all, but you've grown really fast, so your business has changed significantly, which means you probably haven't had time to put in place the processes and systems that make onboarding and acclimation efficient.
That's right.
So you're paying a penalty for that past growth, but I don't know what the answer is to that. It just is kind of a natural phenomenon of fast growth means you don't have the systems, which means people can't step in as quickly and you can't get them up to speed as fast.
Sean, you're exactly right. You don't sound like a know-it-all. You sound like you know it.
I just suffered it. Maybe that's what it is. Instead of a know-it-all, it's suffered together.
The good part is I would say probably Q2, beginning of Q2, I will be out of the valley of death.
Oh, all right. So you'll be over 5 million.
Yeah. So that's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big deal for a service company. That's a huge milestone.
And just knowing the management level that's in there, right? That they can handle that. These things are all off my plate.
That's great. Do you feel like you have the sales and marketing ecosystem to run at this point, or do you feel like that's still?
I wouldn't call it a system. It's there. It's doing well. It's not a system yet. It's underdeveloped as a process. That's why proposals are taking me so long.
Oh, and it's on your plate, right?
Yeah, I have 2 part-time people helping me. I have a salesperson that does new business, goes out and gets new business. And I have a part-time marketing person, but she just started. So we will see. But that's why it's taking up a lot of my time. That is a goal for next year, by the end of next year, to systematize that it's off my plate.
Jennifer, the way you said that, it sounded to me like you were saying you will automatically exit the valley of death when you hit that 5 million mark.
No. To me, the valley of death is less about revenue. It's more about management and things off my plate.
That's what I was going to ask. Right.
Yeah, it's less. As Sean jumped in with revenue, it's not that. It's more that I have leaders who are trained, who can now start to implement standardization workflow and over supervise staff. And then, I got payroll off my plate. Payroll's off my plate. Financial and admin stuff is off my plate. I now meet with the CFO, and it's not low-level stuff. It's high-level conversations. The last thing off my plate that is day-to-day is the proposal writing. Once that's off my plate, then to me, I'm out of the valley of death.
If I were to look at your CRM and look by leads by source, what would be the percent that are coming through that are not from you or your network?
I would say about 75% of our leads that turn into sales are from our tech partner.
Really?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good tech partner.
Yeah. So it's not me.
Is that locked down? Could they go somewhere else? Could they get bought? Could they, et cetera?
All of the above, yes. Yeah, but they're not feeding me leads out of the goodness of their heart. It's because we're the only services partner that works exclusively on their platform. So because of that, they don't want to give it to anybody else, right? Now, if other services that do what we do decide to exclusively work on their platform, so it's less about the tech partner and more about my competition.
Or if somebody were to buy them that was a competitor to you.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
That would be bad.
So you sort of do have concentration risk within your marketing and sales ecosystem. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a plan to offset that?
I do not. So this was a calculated risk about, 2019, so 5 years ago, that people that do what we do, convention management, trade show sales, work on multiple different event tech platforms based on the clients. And I said, too complicated. We're going to stick with one platform and we're going to become experts at it. So if you ever use that platform, we're the person to go to. And it's worked out extraordinarily well. So as long as that company grows, we can grow. But it's high risk, high reward.
High reward. Yeah, right. That's great strategy. Love it.
Well, as long as the risk. And I heard a phrase years ago that said niche is rich. Mm-hmm. And so have you guys heard that, right? Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, if you become the best at a very small niche, it can be successful. And I think of myself as a whale in a puddle. In that small puddle, I am the whale. And I'd prefer to be a whale than a minnow. And to me, the size of the body of water is less important rather than the size that I am. So I think sometimes when you start a business, when you're trying to do everything to everyone, don't. Try to focus on a couple things or one thing that you do extraordinarily well and become the best at it. And I think it'll take a little bit longer maybe to pay off, but when it does well.
How about you buy the tech platform?
How about they buy me?
Okay.
Hey, Jennifer, I wanted to ask you about one other aspect of what you told us, which is you've been hiring high-level employees, and it's taken a little bit longer to get them up to speed. Part of that, I assume, is because they're coming from outside. It's not like they grew up in your business. And, that's something that owners talk about a lot when they have the choice to promote from within versus hiring from outside. Is it your goal to get to the point where you'll be promoting more from within?
That was my goal before. And I promoted a lot from within, and we had some missteps. Really great people, just maybe didn't have the experience or whether industry or managerial to be able to do it. And we had someone about 6 months ago decide to take a step back, and it's the right decision. They were fantastic, really great at one level, but as the company grew, didn't really have the skill set and couldn't ramp up fast enough. But now as the number 2 position in that department, they're going to do amazing because now we have somebody from the outside. And so I gave that person room to breathe to develop those skills, put them in a leadership training program, and then brought in someone from the outside that's new. So we'll see. But so I think I've been trying to promote from within. And what I've learned is when you grow fast, people cannot grow fast enough with you that you need. And I'm trying to strike the right balance from promoting from within, but then getting people from the outside. I don't know the right balance, but I know when you grow fast, it's really hard. A founder like myself, an owner, will work nights, weekends, get training, listen to podcasts, do everything. But your average employee may or may not be able to do that fast enough for you.
Are you confident that you got the right people when you hired from outside at these senior levels?
No, who's ever confident? That's the hardest part is, what does onboarding a higher level person mean versus, a recent college graduate? That's a different onboarding. What are the things you have to do? How long do you have to take to see certain results? Is it, like I said, the 3-month, the 6-month, the 9-month? The coordinator, you should be able to see in 90 days. Or is it vice versa? The coordinator's going to take longer, but the directors should be fast. I don't really know. And I'm trying to figure out whether I do know our hiring process is getting better. We recently instituted an assessment. We're doing Clifton Assessments, Strength Finders, I think is called. Have you heard of it, Jackie? We just started it. It was really insightful when we were interviewing for a position and we made them all take it. And then we're like, things that came out that made it better to ask in the second interview. And so now we're going to implement it across the board. How did you use it, Jackie? For new hires or
Same
current?
thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
New hires. And we've looked at Enneagram and StrengthsFinder were the 2 we liked the best. But I'll tell you, positive intelligence is pretty good too.
Okay.
And that's all about your saboteurs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Fascinating insights.
I never heard of that one, so I'm going to go take a look at that. I'm finding that the first interview helps you weed out somebody, but to get to the second or third, this outside assessment's really helpful.
Right. We have this happy, hungry, humble mantra. And so the hungry to me is people who really want it. And so we put them through the ringers, 3-4 rounds of talking to different people. And then we give them a paid project. That has become the biggest indicator. And I mean pay, like no question, you're paid a full rate, but it is fascinating to me, the people that will submit their work and no follow-up. How'd you like it? What'd you think? What should I do differently? Because I intentionally wait a couple days and nothing.
Jackie, how big is this project? Is this a 4-hour project, a 4-week project?
We've got 4 or 5 different ones. We give them real client work because we don't want to game the system. And we give them exactly how much direction they would get if they were here. So they'll figure out really quickly what it's like to work here. And it should take about 10 hours.
I like that idea. Yeah, at a high level, right? You're not going to give a college graduate that, or maybe you could, just different. But at a high level, that's interesting.
Everybody gets some kind of a test project.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also agree with paying. You got to pay people.
Got to pay.
I don't give them real work, though. I mean, I kind of disagree with that because I don't want there to be any resentment or thoughts like, oh, well, you're just using work that you. I just think
we don't use it.
Yeah, I don't want there to be any confusion. So we do made up projects.
Sure.
But I like the made up project because then you have consistency. Like I give the same project to multiple people over time. And then you can see like, oh, wow, this person handled this way. this person did it differently this way. I like the consistency.
I was going to ask Jackie, how do you think about the issue of promoting from within or hiring higher level people from outside?
We've gone through the ringer on this. I mean, we've had years where it was, you became an intern and then you became a paid part-time employee and then you became a paid full-time employee and then you've never worked anywhere else but here. So you have a very limited appreciation for all of the great benefits that you get. You think it's like that everywhere. And that's a challenge. We have hired what I would classify, for easy jargon, middle managers from other places, and they come with bad habits. So we've been through the ringer. There's pros and cons everywhere. I think for us, it's really come down to, are you the right kind of person? And so doing the rounds of interviews, which I'm the last one. I'm not the first one. I'm the very last person they meet with. I'm going to look at their resume and I'm going to give them a quick, yes, you can go through the process, or no. But once they're in the process, they're going to meet with different departments. They're going to do peer interviews, and it's 15 minutes. I mean, and nobody's driving over here. It's Zooms. We're trying to keep it simple. But how frustrated are you going to get with the process? That's going to be part of it. And how well do you interact with different people? And then the paid test project. And if you're the right fit, great. You're going to be here for a long time. We've got employees that are, going on multiple double-digit years. And then now I feel like we've won, and I just have to do everything possible to keep them happy in here.
Jackie, I'm glad you said some of that, as I've had that problem too. Be like, cultivate from an intern. There's a shadow side to that. And we had to part ways with an employee a couple years ago, and she was delightful, just a lovely person. But man, she had just stalled out in her career development. And it was really frustrating because there was nothing for her to compare to. Like, she just didn't really recognize what the opportunity was, how, kind of amazing it is to be able to like shape your career. She didn't really know how to do that.
Right.
And was just kind of like stuck. And man, that was a hard lesson. I'm like you. We don't hire interns anymore. They just don't do that. I want people who've been somewhere else and have struggled in their career somewhere else. I don't want to be the one to introduce them to that idea. It's just too painful.
So I have a question for you. What do you do when great people been with you for years, but the technology has provided opportunity? How do you either reassign them, retrain them, or release them?
When you say the technology has provided opportunity, that sounds like coded language for they haven't kept up. Or is it, am I not, what do you mean by that?
I'm a little bit thinking about me and some conversations we've had lately, but I'm specifically thinking about a client who has a tech company, and the client, the employees are delightful, great, awesome, and really do an incredible job. But the industry has changed. And the way that the industry has changed, the revenue is now coming from different departments, and these people, that's not their skill set.
Right. I mean, I think you and I probably face a similar situation. If you think about, you and I probably made a bunch of money over the years, like doing designy stuff, right? Like clipping photos out of a background, or, at the time, technically complex stuff that other people couldn't do. And we've just seen that arena become commoditized. And, I have definitely had employees who just won't change with the times.
Right.
And that's so hard because, like, you're a good person. You've done years of good work. And I hate to say it, but like that job is disappearing.
Right.
And we need to get you a new set of skills.
Right.
And boy, it is tough some people don't know how to do that. It's really hard. Yeah. I mean, I had a really lovely young man who started out as an intern, became our web developer, in-house guy, and he was great. And then I just saw the writing on the wall for our business. I'm like, I need you to be able to meet with clients. I need you to be actually guide them through the process. And he was like, I just want to sit behind my desk and code.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to basically I found him a job elsewhere. I literally called a friend and I was like, do you need a great web developer? I've got one.
Right.
fundamentally, I was like, hey, man, this job is changing. This is what I need you to do. Do you want to do that? And he's like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay. All right. Yeah. I think that is a really hard, real phenomenon.
It's a challenge. And it's like, what kind of company are we? Are we the kind of company that cuts people loose when I can't use them anymore? Are we the kind of company that values our people?
Well, isn't that business though, Jackie? I mean, if you don't need them, how long are you going to wait? 3 months, okay, but you can't hold them for a year.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can. I could totally lose money for a year. I mean, I have.
But that is part of the challenge.
Sure. And I think part of it is emotional. If you just look at straight numbers,
Sure.
Outside analysts can say, get rid of that person, get rid of this person, whatever. And when you see the emotion behind it, it tells a different story, whether that person was willing to work on a Sunday to get a project done, or for us, the last minute was able to travel somewhere. Their willingness to jump in and help, you want to hold them as long as you can to more business comes. But on the other hand, sometimes skill sets change.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing for a business owner is the right staffing at the right level. And labor is not easily changed in and out, right?
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the problem with basically the work world. I was thinking about this today. Somebody was making an argument on LinkedIn that, employees are just like athletes. They have stats and you need to measure those stats. And if they're underperforming, you need to get rid of them. And I'm like, dude, no way. It is so complex. The interconnectivity between employees, their communication skills, soft skills. There's a ton of stuff you cannot measure. And that's the thing. We've moved into a knowledge-based, sort of world. And which means like you have unique things you do in your company that are not easily found on the street, which means you have to train people. I just think it's really hard. That's just how this the way it is.
Let me jump in here. The clock is ticking, and I don't want Jackie to think she's getting off the hook. Jackie, how's your year ending up?
Oh my gosh. I signed up to do these things because I was given a guarantee in writing there was no math. And now there's math. This is not my favorite thing. I don't like the math. Lauren, as we've talked about in our founding members masterminds monthly, last year and this year were some really weird up and down years for me. We've had this kind of steady growth. I look back at 26%, 21, 3% growth, 22, 43% growth, 23, 13% growth. So it's been good and steady. And I knew eventually it was going to kind of top, but I was shooting for 10. I thought a solid 10% would be great. And this year I started to think, oh man, we're not going to get there. And all of a sudden in these last few weeks, we never get new clients in December. And there are 5 who are asking to hire us. And that never happens.
It's the same with us. It's the same. December's usually dead, right, Jackie?
Dead.
And the same. It's like all of a sudden my pipeline's like full, and it was dead over the summer.
Dead.
The
DEAD, dead.
Yeah, me too. Decembers are kind of, I get some, but not the level of requests for in my pipeline right now.
I think there was just universal paralysis for 2024. Just people were like, I'll kick that down the road. Let's wait till the election's over, blah, blah, blah. Just totally not taking action. It drove me crazy. This year was just terrible for that.
Jackie, what do you think changed for you? Do you have any idea?
Well, we've done some smarter things with processes. We've gone back to some basics. We had a very good, I think, discovery meeting to proposal to presentation system that we developed over the early years that was real personalized. Much like Jennifer, we spent a lot of time really making it top notch. And we got into a position for those years of growth. We had a crazy quantity of discovery meetings. Some months would have 30, 40, 50 discovery meetings in a month because it wasn't my leads anymore. We were getting all these outside because we were like, hey, we're going to work on an inbound campaign. We're going to do more outbound marketing. We're going to pull them in from all these places. Because to your point, Sean, I didn't want all the business to be because of my network. We needed to have a real system. And so we put a system in place and the system worked. It changed our closing numbers a lot, but also they weren't.
The quality went down, didn't it?
Yeah. But we also were able to secure our 3 biggest clients came from that. And so we had to trade off some personalization. So this year we're like, okay, reassess. And we went back to lower quantity, higher quality of lead. And we felt like the reflection then was going to be a more personalized proposal. And so we had to make some modifications to get back into that. But now all of a sudden, the yeses are coming quicker.
Did you change your pricing?
Oh, as you happen to know, Lauren, I love when you ask questions you know the answer to. We
didn't have to tell everybody that, Jackie.
Oh, no, I'm throwing you under the bus, buddy.
This whole show is scripted. Anybody who's listening, we planned this all out.
No, I didn't know he was going to ask that, but he did just hear the answer to it yesterday, so that's what makes him laugh.
Thanks a lot, Jackie.
Oh, Lauren, you're not getting away from it, man.
You missed the scoop, Lauren. Too late.
Yep. So, yes, Lauren, we did change our prices. Coming out of 19, when I did Goldman Sachs 10,000 new business from January to May of 20. So at the end of the teens, we went through a lot of change. No more project work, period. It's all got to be strategic brand plans, the implementation of those plans. That was awesome. That made my heart happy. That's been the best thing we ever did for our business. In Goldman Sachs realized, we're not charging nearly enough. And so that education and the time that COVID provided me gave me a lot of time to really do the research to figure out what those numbers should be. And so we were at a good place over the years. More people were interested. The prices went up. More people were interested. The prices went up. We wanted to have bigger companies. The prices went up. Well, I had to do some assessment this year because we've gotten more efficient with a lot of things. Things aren't taking as long as they used to. We're smarter, better, faster. And I'm doing a lot of research on the psychology around numbers and understanding how much I love round numbers, but buyers don't love round numbers. And I need to do some work on adjusting that. So we did a lot on pricing psychology, referenced a lot of research from Nick Kalenda. It's a great podcast, not any greater than 21 Hats, of course, but in addition to 21 Hats called Nudge, and he was a guest on it, and he's got this great book on marketing and psychology and pricing and stuff. Anyway, all of that to say, we didn't just change the value, but we also changed the presentation and digits of the numbers, and it's been yes, 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 yes in a row. It's crazy.
So how is this affecting your planning for next year?
I want more of it, please. Always more.
Are you budgeting for more?
We are. We're staffed for more. We've got capacity, and we've got full-time employees, and then we've got some independent contractors because they like that life, but they're practically, in with us. I mean, they do work for other people. We're following all the rules. They're not really employees, in case the IRS is listening. But they want more. They're asking for more, and so we'll have more to give them.
Do you ever slow down, Jackie?
No, sir. Absolutely not. There's not enough time. Time is too short. I'm only going to be here a little bit longer, and I want to make the most of it. Now, somebody the other day asked, they're like, okay, if we took away the coffee, how would that affect you? I was like, no. If I started to drink coffee, how would it affect me? I only drink water.
Wow.
Just water. No alcohol, no soda, no coffee, no tea, just water.
Wow.
Jennifer, I wanted to go back to something that you raised in our emails before this session. You raised the issue of training employees to use AI. What's going on with you that made that an issue you wanted to talk about now?
I've realized that, a couple people that are tech curious are going to use it, but I have to be the leader of training everybody to at least understand and how to start it. The week of Thanksgiving is always kind of quiet for us. So the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, we did a 3-hour AI training, basically. And it wasn't training. I think it was called AI Innovation Fun. And what we did is we had someone do a 20-minute presentation of slides, like what is AI, the different types of ones out there. Here's some ideas, blah, blah, blah. And it was really cool because she did all these slides just to get, everybody from the 22-year-old recent college graduate to the 60-year-old that's been with us, just assuming they're starting from zero, right? So some basic overview, ChatGPT versus Perplexity versus Claude versus what Grammarly does on AI. And at the end of it, it was really funny because I didn't know she did this. The slide then said this entire presentation and slide deck was created by AI. So it was really cool. And then we broke up into small groups. So then for the next hour, each department, we had a leader and they just played. So my sales team pulled up ChatGPT and they just had different things that they were playing with. So we just allowed them to be, have fun with it. So they had to take a picture of their desk and put it in and say, please organize my desk, right? They did just fun, cute things. And then they went to work. Then we came back and each department did a presentation of what they did. So it was fun to see what other people would do. And then we had a brainstorming session. We did quizzes and we went back. And so trying to get everybody up to speed on what does it mean? How can you use it? Just start playing. Just create it. Who knows? It's kind of crap in some ways. In other ways, it's amazing. Just put anything in there. Put it on your phone and talk to it. They were all very excited about having the opportunity to play at work on something that they were all very interested in. And so I'm going to do this probably once a quarter so we can start adding AI into our workflow. I don't know how yet, besides writing. And the writing of AI sounds like AI. So how to change the tone or whatever. But if I don't do this, I feel like I'm almost a little too late.
I found a great use of AI writing, actually. I got an email from my IT vendor, and they have a person on their team who is just terrible at communication. Shocking. Mm. And he always writes in this tone that's like condescending, and it just grates me. It's sort of like, well, as we told you before, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, man, that is just really bad. And so anyway, rather than get pissed off about it, I fed his message into AI and I said, rewrite this in a tone that's more friendly and team oriented. And it did a pretty good job on the first pass. And I was like, well, do this, but less or more of this. And by the time AI was done with it, it was a good email. I was like, oh, my gosh, I don't know how to tell my IT company, but they need to use this tool. Need to. Sure. It takes coaching, right? It needs somebody, they'll need a human to review it because the person who's doing the bad communication doesn't have the self-awareness, right?
Sure.
But man, it was a really good application of AI. The before and after was profound. So anyway, if you've got bad communicators, you can use AI to improve their writing.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many possibilities between analysis, between image creation, between slide creation. The possibilities are endless. I just need to get my team moving that way, right? Do you think, Sean, everybody on your staff does that with ChatGPT or whatever AI you used?
Yeah. The good thing, I have a couple people on my team who have been pushing the exploration forward. And there are some people who clearly have very little interest in it. And then there are others who are really fascinated by it. But they've made it part of their, kind of ongoing discussion because it's disruptive. It's incredibly disruptive.
Especially in the marketing world.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm glad that I've been moving away from transactional marketing for years.
Yes. It's
just all those crappy blog posts that many agencies were paid to write. Why would you pay an agency to write a crappy blog post anymore? If you're going to write a crappy blog post, if it's AI, do it. So, I think it's really important that every business figure out how it's affecting their organization. Literally, I have a client that came to us and they said, this is our marketing plan. And I took a look at it and I was like, wow, that's really standard. And then I went over to AI and I was like, hey, write me a marketing plan for XYZ type of business. And it spit out basically the marketing plan they had built as human beings.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't very remarkable, right? And so I think that's a big part of the puzzle is you as an owner are going to have to focus on things that are really high value and hard to create because copying other people isn't going to do it anymore.
Jennifer, I was thinking about it when you were talking about how much time writing proposals is taking you. And I'm wondering if Sean or Jackie have used AI for proposals.
I do. I have two suggestions that make it very helpful. We use a AI recorder in our Zoom meetings. We happen to use Read AI, but there's plenty of them, Otter or whatever. And we take that transcript and drop it into AI and tell it what we want to accomplish with the proposal. And that first draft is probably 75% right.
Wow.
Does that include pricing, though?
Sure.
My biggest thing is pricing. That's what's taking by far the longest. The descriptions, and I think it's just because it's so customized what we're doing. I don't know. I have to figure out a way, that's like 2025 goal, to make it less custom or faster. Somehow I have to do it.
I mean, you could feed it all your past proposals with pricing, and then you could build basically your own learning model that would understand, oh, when these keywords are used, it means pricing more oriented this way. I mean, I think that's your path to solving some of that.
Well, I look forward to accomplishing that because it's a big time suck, and I know it shouldn't be, but that's for next year.
Jackie, you've told us in the past that you've looked over almost all of your processes for ways that AI can improve them. Have you actually trained your employees to use AI?
We have, and we've made it a team sport. Everybody has to train somebody else. And so, Maria went and learned how to do this one thing and then taught the rest of us. And Kennedy and Morgan learned how to do something and taught the rest of us. I learned how to do something and taught the rest. Michael's learned. And that's how we've kind of divided up the challenge of incorporating it. So it's not resting on any one person. And so, Jennifer, I feel your pain. I feel like, a lot of times I have to put them on my back and carry them to the new land. But I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Everybody's going to learn this stuff because it is our future. And the people who don't know how to use it are the ones who don't have a future.
I totally agree with that, Jackie. Everybody's got to learn it. And you have to, start off slow, start to feel comfortable with it, and then try to be creative of what's possible. I met someone at a conference about a month ago. He has it on his phone, and he talks to it and he uses it for advice on how to talk to his 13-year-old teenage daughter.
That's amazing.
It is. So on the way home, he'll say to ChatGPT, okay, my daughter has this issue. Please tell me how best to approach her, blah, blah, blah. And it spits out answers to him. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It never occurred to me to use it like on a personal therapy basis, but.
My creative director's having conversations with it. He's basically trying out ideas. Has anybody ever done this? Or what could work in this arena? It's just sort of like a riffing tool, almost like musicians riff with each other. And it's pretty interesting. That conversation piece is pretty cool.
I feel like it's a brainstorm partner.
Yeah, I used it. So I was in Poland recently for a site visit and then saw some family. And I asked it to find me places to buy ingredients for a Thanksgiving dinner. It was the week before Thanksgiving. And it created an entire menu, all the recipes, and the locations and the stores of where to find it. And it even said, you will not find a whole turkey anywhere in Poland. You're just going to have to buy a turkey breast.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And you know what it didn't have is the stupid recipe sites and all their pop-up ads.
That's right. That's right. Not yet, at least. Not yet, Sean.
Jackie, you mentioned brainstorming. Can you give us a sense of what kind of brainstorming? Is that, marketing plans for a client, or is that about strategy for your business? What have you done?
All the above. Look at this P&L statement and tell me where I need to make changes in our books. Look at this budget and tell me where we may be off. Because again, I hate math. I love the brainstorming piece of it because there's no judgment. I feel like I can bounce different ideas off of it. I'm not going to take what it says and just use it outright, but it gives me a really great starting place to help coalesce my thoughts.
Are you doing this on ChatGPT?
Typically, yes. Yeah. I mean, I do play around with some of the others. You and I've talked a lot about Scribe, which is one of my favorites. Grammarly obviously is one. I love that QuickBooks is starting to bring in AI, so it'll just automatically scan invoices now.
Really?
Have you not played with that?
I have not.
Let me change your life.
Okay.
So if you have the digital version of it, whether they emailed it to you or you scanned it and saved it on your desktop, however you got it, I don't care. You open QuickBooks and you go to Bill and you can upload from desktop or upload from computer. It will bring it in. And if they already exist as a vendor, it will match. And all you have to do is approve.
You know what? So I use Bill.com in addition to QuickBooks.
It does the same thing.
It does that. Yep. I knew. Yeah.
Which
Bill.com
is
does.
why
Yep.
I canceled my Bill.com subscription because QuickBooks now does it.
Oh, all right. I got to look because Bill.com's not cheap.
No, it is not.
Good idea. Okay. See, there's going to be so
you're more
many
profitable
things.
now.
There we go. There's so many things that we are not even scratching the surface on that I'm really excited about.
Me too.
My thanks to Sean Bussey, Jennifer Karen, and Jackie Russo. Thanks so much for sharing, guys. One thing before you go. Everything we do at 21 Hats is created by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs to help us all learn together. If you get something out of listening to these podcast episodes, consider joining the conversation. You can do that by joining the 21 Hats Sounding Board, a Slack channel where you can tap the wisdom of a very smart crowd, or by becoming a founding member and joining our monthly Zoom forum, where you can be part of conversations much like the ones we have on the podcast. You can sign up for both by subscribing to the Morning Report. If you have any questions, you can email me at lauren@21hats.com. And if you get something out of this podcast or out of the Morning Report, please tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell every business owner you know. Your word of mouth, owner to owner, will always be the most effective way to build this community for all of us. Thank you. It means a lot. This episode was produced by another entrepreneur, Jess Stuberon, founder of Blank Word Productions. Thanks for listening, everyone.